The date is November 7th, 2025. Didn't make it quite as long this year. It is just too damn cold. The weather did hold out and we had beautiful weather up until now. The house today is 57 degrees. This is the kind of shit that I grew up with in Mr. Sheckel's house. No more of that for me, thanks. I had plenty of being frozen solid as a kid, and it sucked every single day. And then I got my own house, and now I can put the heat on anything I want. I got to pay for it, but of course, that comes with the territory. Regardless, it just gets to the point where it's too cold. Now, a lot of other people that I watch, like Sharkley and XJO81X, have turned their heat on already. Joe's mother put her heat on already. He had a video on that, Joe did. But it's time for me now, because at this point, it's gotten too cold. Now, usually we get by with the electric heaters for a couple of weeks, and I've been very judicious about using them, but just the last couple days, not too good. It's been kind of getting pretty cold in the house. As it turns out, China had sent me a microphone, and I had an interview with my HydroTherm boiler. Let's check that out quick. So the weather has been getting colder, but I have not turned the heat on in the house just yet. Here's my old boiler. I really wonder if it's up to the task. It is getting pretty chilly in the house. It was down to, I think about 59 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. Really had a chill in the air. Wasn't fun getting up for breakfast. It's still, I mean, we still got time out there. It's not that cold just yet. It's a good 60 degrees outside, but in the house it just feels a lot colder than that. You're not too cold, are you, boiler?
I don't care what you say, senor. I'm freezing.
Back to you in the studio, Jay. Yeah, it's still me in the studio here. Yeah, does anybody recognize that soundbite? If you do, put it in the comments. This boiler is 51 years old. 1974. It's a boiler. A lot of people have furnaces. This is not that. It doesn't have a blower. Instead, it has circulator pumps, such as that one over there, and one that you can't see behind the vent stack. So it has circulator pumps and piping and plumbing and all of that, and that's where we get the term piping hot from, because they would pipe hot water or steam through pipes, and the pipes would get hot, so it's piping hot. Yeah, you actually learn stuff here. It's amazing. So, yeah, the boiler does that. It boils, well, not quite, but it gets pretty hot. Gets water pretty hot, and it circulates through. This pipe, for example, that goes up there off the circulator, runs around the perimeter of the house. And in each room, there is a radiator. It doesn't exactly tee off, but rather it Y's off, and then goes back into this loop that goes around the house and goes into the radiators. And the radiators are nothing more than pipe or a few loops of pipe with fins to radiate the heat. And they radiate that because they're radiators. Holy shit, wow, this is like better than fucking science class. That's 2 things you learn now. Jeez. Alright, anyway, it's gas-fired. That's good, because it's not oil, and it's not electric, and especially it's not a heat pump. I love that kind. It's old, so it has a standing pilot. Even better. Is the pilot still lit? Well, shit, I hope so. I don't know. I haven't felt the pipe on it lately, but we're going to find out soon. But before we do that, over the summer, the the dust and whatever else settles in and around the boiler. And I like to clean that first. So we need to do that before I fire it up. Now, there's plenty of old ladies out there that don't know, and they just go and turn the thermostat on and hope the heat comes up, and if it does, oh, hallelujah, what a good day! I made them Jewish for some reason, but okay. Anyway, you know, I mean, it just works, and it's fine, but you get that burning dust smell, and, you know, let's just nip it in the bud there and just get rid of all the dust so we don't have to smell that burning. There's going to be plenty other strange smells of stuff burning that's, you know, terrible like that. You know, when I was a kid, we were talking before about nipping it in the bud. When I was a kid, I was thinking that when I grow up, I'd be a florist, but I just couldn't make the arrangements. To clean the boiler, I like to use my IBM service vacuum. I have had this for I don't know how long, but it is a true IBM service vacuum from nobody knows when. 80s maybe? It has a retrofit cord. I think this was actually a part of a giant mainframe laser printer, if memory serves, that my dad told me. And this cord was actually wired right into the mains current of the unit and stayed attached via the wire like that. And somehow this broke free from the printer and came home. And it has a retrofit cord on it. And you plug it in 120 volts. And I'm sure this was actually made by some other company, but I have no idea. I have a bunch of little bags or cups for it that it catches the dirt in, but I don't know where you would get replacements. They're probably around. Somebody may have commented on other videos of turning on the heat in the past, saying, oh, you can get bags here for that. So obviously we need to plug this in, and a great place to do that is the service outlet for the boiler. The service outlet is up there. Now, this isn't exactly a service outlet in that more it provides service to the boiler, but we don't need the boiler running while we're vacuuming, nor would we want that, so we can unplug it from there. And this outlet was not here or original to the house. XJoe81X put that in years ago, and I wanted the single outlet just because it looks more official, like nothing else should be plugged in there. Now, it was common back in the days when a house like this was built in the 1950s, and maybe even before and after, through at least the 70s, maybe even the 80s, and I don't know if it's still done after that, where what they would do is they would typically run the boiler or furnace or whatever power on the same as like the hall light, because typically the heating system is going to be in the basement. So they'd put it on the same circuit as the hall light. So that way, if you get no heat, you could just run to the hall and turn the light on. And if the light doesn't turn on, that would mean you probably tripped a breaker, and then you have to go find out what went wrong with the boiler or furnace or whatever it was. But that was just a quick way to know. How's this wired? I don't know. I have no idea what circuit this is on, and it doesn't matter. So we're going to go ahead and plug the vacuum in. Right like that. But the problem is it doesn't work, and that's because that outlet is off. I keep it off over the summer. And here is the switch at the top of the steps. This is from Lilco, which used to be Long Island Lighting Company. Yes, that's Long Island Lighting Company. And they were taken over by LIPA, Long Island Power Authority. And then after Hurricane Sandy, people didn't like that it took over a month to get power back after a natural disaster. So they did legislation, and it got bought out by PSEG. I have no idea what that stands for. something energy and gas or something. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, that's that. But back in the old days, you would have this teal or turquoise colored one for a gas heater, and if there was an oil one, it would be red. And you would have this plate. I know my dad used to have it. I don't know if he still does. And other homes here on Long Island probably have these plates as well, because your boiler would have to be inspected by, well, the gas company for sure. And as far as the oil goes, I'm not sure if Lilco had to check the electrical for that. But anyway, this has got the original vintage switch with the nice click. Okay, nothing to it but start vacuuming. Just vacuum off the top of all the pipes, the boiler, all that. So here we go. Yeah, that's not great news. This piece here is a piece of one of the gaskets on the circulator. And that means that that gasket is petrified. This is, it used to be rubber, and it's hard as a rock. So that's good. They're going to need to be replaced. That's great. I'm not looking forward to that. I've done that twice already, and it's a big job. It's a big job. But I'm going to vacuum the floor around the boiler and just get that done, and then we'll move on to the next part, which is compressed air, to get any dust that I missed. In the words of my friend Shad, I'm going to be real honest with the camera right now. I've been cheating. I have the Pilonis oil-filled heater that had two videos. One of fixing it improperly and the other of fixing it properly. And I've been using that for the last couple when it needs it down here. And it says it's 67. That's definitely tolerable. But I don't keep the heat at 67. It's more like 72. That's a comfort spot. Problem is I gotta turn this off now because A, we're turning the heat on, and L, the air compressor is on the same circlet. And here's the old Coleman 6-gallon air compressor. This does have a problem starting in the cold, but being that the heater was on and it's kind of near it, it probably will start up just fine. Might be a little slow when it first turns on, but it'll go. There we go. That's going to fall and do its thing. Alright, here we go. We'll just blow off everything and then might have to vacuum again. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Okay, I think it's good for now, as far as that goes. Now I like to go and blow out the burners. That's the hard part. It's the hard part because I have to get down here and I don't work too well anymore. Nothing on me works well anymore. I spent all my life fixing other people's shit and not myself. And now that I'm older, I'm paying the price. Okay, good news. The pilot is still lit. And I expected that. Okay, everything looks to be just perfectly fine. We need to remove the flame guard. I do this every year. Every year, I always say, oh, I ought to get a flashlight so I can see. And I get down here and I forget. So that's just going to be a problem for later. Alright, we'll take the flame guard out. Yeah, something like that. Okay. That's all good. Get the blowgun. And let me see if I can turn this around so I can use it. Yeah, there we go. So now I could kind of blow out under the boiler. And before I do that, in the event I blow out the pilot, I will use Mr. Sparky over here. Get that turned on. If you can still hear the high frequency, tough. I can a little bit, but that's about it. Alright, we're going to blow out underneath the burner. There's some cobwebs here. Might even be a dust bunny I can just take off over here. Alrighty. And now I'm going to blow in the burner tubes. So if you can see this, gas valve over here, it's set on pilot. You turn it to on, and then when it pulls for heat and the hydrostat says boiler's cold, make heat, tells the gas valve to open, standing pilot ignites the gas, and Bob's your uncle, Betty's your aunt.
Spin on the top, set the bullet on the base, and now we're chopping the basil, crushing the pine nuts, mincing the garlic, and mixing all the ingredients together. And as fast as you can say, Bob's your uncle, Betty's your aunt, you've got a beautiful homemade pesto sauce.
The gas then flows down this pipe and has two jets, one that goes in that burner tube and one that goes in that one. And they go up to two big burners in there and they burn. Remember, this doesn't have 6 or 8 burners or anything like today's boilers because 1974, but it's pretty simple and it works. So we'll get some air in there. Oh, went out. One of these years I'm not going to be fast enough. Now I'm going to blow the tops of the burners. wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad. All right, that looks pretty good. So, let's see if I get this kind of out of the way. That's going to hit the tripod. That's good. And let's see, we have to put the flame guard back. That's going to be fun. Okay. I don't know how this is going to go. Not well. Well, something's not right. I got one side, but I can't get the other. I don't know where it hangs. And I didn't get a damn flashlight, so I can't see. What the hell? There he is. That's good. There. So just an hour of playing with it, and, you know, we're all good. Okay, that's it. That's it. Some various dirt around and whatnot else, but that's part of the course. We'll get rid of that. I'm going to get out of here, and we got one more step before we could fire this guy up. And that's to let the circulator pumps run for a little bit. I didn't know I could twist this way. I don't think I can untwist. Anyway, let me get out of here and we'll fire those up. Okay, next thing I like to do, make sure all the switches are fine. They are. And I like to plug the boiler in. The boiler is on a plug, by the way. So in the event of a power outage, I simply unplug it from the outlet, and now the boiler has a regular outlet plug that can go into a generator, battery pack, inverter, all that kind of great stuff, so I won't be without heat. Isn't that just nice? For the price of a fucking electrical box and a plug. Huge thanks to XJO81X for doing that years ago. Big, 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 big plus. Okay. When we plug the boiler in, both circulators are going to start up because both thermostats are calling for heat. I have two zones. One is the basement and the other is the main floor in the upstairs. Yeah, it would have been better if there were three and they did the upstairs as its own zone like it should be, but they didn't. So it is what it is. I'm stuck with it. When I plug that in, we're going to hear two contactors clang at the same time. You will hear one clang because they're happening at exactly the same time. And the circulators will start running. This pipe is barely warm over here, probably because it's so cold in the house, and it's much cooler up here. This is the, I don't know if this is a return or a feed or which direction it goes. I think this goes up and to the radiators and then back down to the circulator pumps and then through the boiler and back up here. Regardless, the pilot has been sitting there cooking and this is just barely warm. Pipe back here is ice cold, and the pipe back here obviously is ice cold as well. Well, maybe not that cold, but cold, and it's probably going to get colder. So we're going to plug this in. The circulator pumps are going to start circulating the water in the boiler. We have a mass of water in the boiler here that is warm from the pilot, and that's going to go up, so it should get warm and then cold. Here we go. There we are. Both circulators are running. Basement is ice cold. This pipe is getting warmer. That's gotten ice cold. getting a little warmer here and colder here. So yeah, we are circulating. Main zone is going to take a bit and we don't have that much hot water. My oh my, that is pretty ice cold. Basement is warm, so we gotta wait. This pipe is cold. It's probably, yeah, it's getting a little warm now. It's still pretty cool compared to the rest because it has to go around the whole house and all that. I put these gauges on the pipes. Yeah, we're doing all right now. I put these gauges on the pipes. They read in centigrade or Celsius or whatever you want to call it. And that's because the Fahrenheit ones were like $10 each, where I got like a pack of 5 of these for $5. I don't know why that was, but at the time that's what was. So that's what the deal is with that. What I like to do at this point is just let the circulators, what do? Circulate the water and let everything run just for a few minutes, just to kind of equalize all the temperatures throughout the boiler, start at a level playing field. We're kind of there, but I like to leave it for like 10 minutes just to get everything good. I think we're just about ready. But like I said, I like to leave it for a bit, so I'm going to leave it for a bit. And then we're going to go ahead and fire it up. Over here I have this Ament brand air quality detector meter thing. And it's currently calibrating and getting itself set. When that number hits 120, it'll display values. I have the phone here so we can capture the startup. I'm going to try something a little different this year, putting the phone under the boiler if that's possible. I don't know if it is. If not, then we'll just get a front shot and that'll be it. I was going to get my old cell phone and put that under the boiler in the hopes that that won't, you know, if it gets damaged, it doesn't matter. But I forgot that had a blown up battery and doesn't work, and I didn't want to go and put another battery in it and get that going. But we're right at 120 now. Carbon monoxide is 15 ppm. I don't know what's good or bad, but it is what it is. And we'll just take that as the baseline. So that's really about it. We'll get everything in position, ready to go, and give it a shot. So we're going to be watching the gauge on the boiler here. It's got two things on it. One is pressure and the other is temperature. The fill valve on this boiler is fucked and doesn't work right. So it has damn near no pressure. It's reading a little over 0. 4, 3. It'll go up, but you want to keep it under 30 for sure. What it'll be, I have no idea. Alright, well, I can put the phone under the boiler. How well it's going to capture anything, I don't know. So let me get that recording and then we will go ahead and fire it up. And to do that, simply all I need to do is turn that gas valve over to on. Okay, first startup for 2025. Here we go. I'll pull the charging cord to get the phone out. Oh, maybe we could see while it's recording still. Yeah. You can see some of that still. Pretty cool. All right. So we have that going, and of course you will have seen that already, that footage. And what I'll do is go ahead and upload that to my Google Drive so I can easily add that into the video. And that's uploading now. Perfect. So now what we're doing is we are playing the waiting game. That's not to be confused with the newlywed game or the dating game. This is the waiting game. What's happening now, obviously the burner is firing, as you heard and saw, and it's cooking up the water in the boiler. Bottom here is going to show the temperature. It's going to get to about 190 or so. And at that point, this device called the hydrostat is going to say, okay, the water is hot enough. And it's going to shut the burner down. Now, upstairs is still cold, and the thermostats are still calling for heat, so the circulators will continue to run, and it's now going to start circulating hot water around. Now, I'm a little concerned because we have the carbon monoxide gone up to 279. Well, it's going down a little bit. These numbers went way off the chart. So what I'm going to show you that you can do, let's see if I can point this up. There you go. What you can do is take a lighter and clear the dust. Get it to light. And the flame should kind of wick in. I'm not exactly seeing that. So I don't know if that's good or not. Not really. That's great. Okay. So what I'll do now is come back down if I can, and I'll reset this thing and have it recalibrate, which will take 2 more minutes. And like I said, we're playing the waiting game anyway, so we'll see what that does. And I'll come back when that's ready. While we're waiting, yes, this pipe is getting warm. Basement is a little bit warm as well, and we'll take it on faith the other one is. The gauges are starting to gauge on the pipes, so that's good. Everything is going as it should. So far, so good. So that's an excellent sign. How long that will continue, of course, we don't know. Now, I heard this sound last year. There's kind of like a rattly sound. Kind of quiet, but it's there. I don't know what it is, but the boiler is really old. So I allow for such things. As far as the gauge on the boiler, pardon my head, we have gotten a little pressure and a little temperature. So that is a very good sign. And 15 more seconds, and we'll see what that reads to see if I need to shut it down. Now, another thing you can do is lick in between your finger, because it's sensitive. And yes, I do feel cool air going through my fingers. Yeah, see there, it just like got tripped up from the sudden inrush of it, and I don't know, so we'll wait and see. So no cause for concern as far as that goes, so that's all good. That pretty much is the operation of the boiler. Like I said, everything is just going to continue. The hydrostat will come back down over here, is sensing the temperature of the water in the boiler, and when it reaches about 190, which can be set, and I have adjusted that. I had it, I don't know what it originally was, but I turned it way up to like 200 once, and that wasn't that great of an idea. The water gets pretty hot. You'll hear it. And that's kind of that. Let's see how our pipes are doing. Oh yeah, we are definitely gauging. This main pipe right here is 30C, Now again, it's C and not F, and quick conversion is, well, the formula is 1.8 C plus 32. So if it's 30, we'll make it 60 plus 32 would be 92. Knock off, 4 to 6 degrees, and that's about what you get. CO is 39. It's not 500 or whatever it read before, 150, whatever it was. So we'll keep an eye on that and let it do its thing. It's not in a great spot because it's right near all of that, and this meter is not very accurate. We are definitely gauging, and we've gotten some more pressure and gotten a little more temperature. So I'm going to shut the camera for a bit. So far so good. I don't see any active leaks, which is excellent from what I can tell from here. So that's good. And we're just going to wait and see what happens. Okay, we're in the home stretch. Without even touching the pipes, we're looking about, main pipe is about 52C, basement about 50, and the main zone maybe 51. Everything is running as it should. Carbon monoxide has settled down, so that's all good. We've gotten some pressure in the boiler, what, about 8? Something like that. And temperature, we're getting to around the 190-ish mark. This is not an exact science, okay? It's somewhere in there. And we're just waiting for the burner to shut off. At this point, I definitely feel the heat coming off the boiler. Incidentally, while I let the circulators run, I went outside. It's sunny. A little windy here and there, but it's very nice out. You could sit out there. But in the house, damn, it's freezing. Oh yeah. Not good. Not good in the house. Again, from my vantage point, I do not see any leaks. That's a wonderful thing. And there you go. That is the burner shutting off. Why does it make that pop sound? I don't know. This boiler always has done that, and it's like a barbecue. When it runs out of gas like that, it goes boom. Can I hear that? Yeah, I actually can hear that sometimes throughout the house, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So right now, the thermostats are still calling for heat. The pumps, circulator pumps, are still running. We are circulating hot water. We have approximately the same temperature on all of the pipes, so we know the heat is getting around the building. That is excellent. And pressure almost 10, and right at about 190-ish, 195, somewhere in there. So everything is happy right now. The hydrostat has sensed that the temperature is up to where it should be and said, okay, we're hot enough, shut the burner off, and it does. And now it's just circulating that hot water that it just spent all that time heating up. Well, eventually that heat is given up to the building and the water gets cold. Hydrostat senses that and says, hey burners, we're getting cold, fire it back up, and they will relight. And we're going to wait until that happens, and then we can call it good, because then we know all of the components are working as they should. The hydrostat should, because it already shut it off, but it's good to see it come back on. And that's all running and doing what it's supposed to. And the cycle will continue and continue and continue until the thermostat says, okay, it's warm enough, we don't need heat, shut it off, and then the boiler will shut down. Whether the burner's on or not doesn't make a difference. If it's on, obviously it'll shut that, and it'll shut the circulator pumps, and everything stays waiting dormantly until a thermostat calls for heat again. When it does, if another zone is still calling for heat, which is going to be happening most of the day, well, a few hours anyway, and the temperature in the boiler is still enough, it's just going to click back on. You know, like if the basement zone is, and if both zones are satisfied and the basement calls for it soon after it shut off and the water in here is still hot enough, well, it's going to go ahead and just kick the circulator on without firing the burner because the hydrostat is still satisfied, and it just does its thing. So it could be any moment. I have no idea when it will happen, but eventually it will. Temperatures are about where they were, so looking okay. Carbon monoxide's 7 now, so nothing to worry about. I may have had it a little too close to the flue, and I think the hot temperature is messing with it a bit. So not a good place for it, but it's just temporary until we make sure I'm not going to die being kind of stuck where I am. I'm to the right of the boiler, in case you couldn't tell, and my exit is that way and around the corner. So I can't go that way because the camera's in the way. So we just kind of wait. So far, everything is going exactly as it should. I am very happy to see that. I think that's just dirt. Yep, definitely not wet. And I don't see anything dripping. So everything is good. And one of these years, the hydrostat is going to say, oh, hey, it's getting a little chilly. I don't know what the hysteresis is on it. It's probably not great, because all this stuff is pretty ancient. But hey, it still works, and not only is that better, because I don't need to get a new boiler, but it also doesn't have electro-digital controls and all that stuff. As far as thermostats go, this actually runs 120 volt thermostats. You don't see those anymore. Typically they run on 24 volts AC, and these don't. So they're vintage and they stay that way. In the future, I don't think anything crazy would have to happen if I get a new boiler. The existing wires are there and they're just 14 gauge. So they'll just stay 14 gauge wire, that's all. You know, if you have to pigtail some thinner stuff to hook up to the thermostat, then that's fine. But otherwise the wires are fine, there's nothing wrong with them. So that's good. And then the old thermostats can stay in service. As far as the temperature goes, they're set. A thermostat, thermo means temperature and stat means remain the same. So that means that it makes the temperature remain the same. As far as like a Google Nest and all that kind of stuff where you can, you know, turn the heat down when you leave for work in the morning and have it turned back on, you know, an hour before you get home. No. No. Because if you just leave everything status quo and have the boiler just kick on when it needs to, and you see how long we've been without that burner firing up, what if it sits for a couple of hours, house gets down to, 65 degrees, and then, you know, maybe 4 o'clock, because you get out at 5, you have it turned back on, well, it's going to have to cook up for, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, whatever. Whereas keeping the water hot like it is it doesn't need to run that long. So the thermostat is doing its job by keeping the temperature the same, and I don't touch it. It's that simple. I have no idea when this hydrostat is going to say turn back on, but it has to, because otherwise we got a problem. Well, it finally came back on. Wow, that was that went down quite a ways. It's like 160-ish, something like that. I was getting worried there. By the time I shut the camera off, that was about 5 to 7 minutes before the burner fired up again. So what I'm going to do is just wait and let this go for one more cycle. I'll let it shut down, circulate, fire back up, and then I know everything is working, because something says, you know, that took too long. I don't know. So I'm a little curious now, and we're going to wait and find out. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know why it was sluggish on the first go, but it came back at, you know, 180. It's a little below 190-ish, somewhere in there, where it's supposed to. Okay. That was really odd. Never did that before. That's great. I guess I'll wait for another cycle. What else am I going to do? Yep, now it's working fine. Okay, so with that, we can officially say the heat is on. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Man, the pussy kittens are going to be happy now. They've been cuddling up with each other, trying to keep warm, extra blankies on the bed, all that kind of stuff, and everything is now working properly. Excellent. All right. Awesome. Make sure you click like. Make sure you click subscribe. Ring the bell for Arblies. I appreciate you all for watching very, very much. And take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.